Pop your hole with a big jam roll. This is Show Some Love Live. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to our podcast. My name's Connor.
And I'm Becky.
And together we are Another World Belfast. We have a little message to show some love. I don't know if you noticed. And this is episode 3.
Wow, can't believe we made it this far.
How's it going?
And hi Seán, how's
Hello.
it going?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. We're going to pretend we haven't been in the room for like 2 hours already.
Like
Just chatting.
Yeah.
Chatting.
Being like,
the back of everyone.
Gotta save that for when we're recording.
There are times though it would be different if we were just colleagues. We work together. We're always together. We work together. We are a couple. We live together. We are just always side by side. And it would be different if we were just colleagues and we could just kind of stop. Or have that maybe in an office where you can go, actually don't say that until we are live, until we're recording, until we're doing something. But it's weird when we're like cooking our dinner and I'm like, oh, here, listen to what happened. And we're like, actually.
Yeah, I was literally there.
We're calling ice. We're calling ice. It's hard ice. Is it hard ice?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's behind the scenes Drag Race moment. I am lightly obsessed with
right. Yes.
how things work. Everywhere from like how your Subway sandwich is made through to just behind the scenes of stuff. I love it. I love to. It's kind of like I find it hard to have an attention span to watch a full movie, but if I've seen the behind the scenes,
Then you're watching all the production. Yeah. It's like whenever we get to go and do like a collection at a supermarket or something like that, and they're like, oh, come on out the back here, I've got your stuff there. We're like, yes, behind the scenes stuff. It's brilliant.
I remember we got into that big Henderson's place.
Oh, yeah.
We were there with the food bank once and we got to see behind the scenes of, well, the devil, which is Henderson's bar. But that aside, and their religious extremism, sort of parked, the actual place, the warehouse, the whole way that it worked, the fact that it was all of these little, what do you call those little things? The
trolleys or the cages?
or
the pallets?
The forklifts, all the little sort of forklifts sort of darting about.
And there was like one room that was for ambient, another room was for chilled, and it was fascinating. Like some good behind the scenes there. And
very good.
they also, confirmed our knowledge of the homophobia that exists within that organisation, because we were out getting signed into the office and somebody walked past us and they had like a bit of tape on their back that said, it was actually hilarious, it said, "I'm gay."
Yes.
It was just at least their wit is acerbic.
Because taking it up the hole is funny. Well, I can tell you now that it isn't. It isn't. And actually, it's one of the manliest things I do. You know, you try before you start telling people that they're gay or making comments on people's bits or their dicks or their whatever else. Sit in a dick.
Yeah.
Sit on a cock.
While lifting a whole man.
Uh-huh.
You know.
While lifting a whole wow. Think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wore these glasses in because I'm living my best emo life.
Yeah.
And I did want to address a few things that I have been wearing glasses the last couple of weeks, and there's been some vicious rumours. I'm going to take these off because there's been a lot of people out there that have been saying, unbelievably, and I can't cope with this anymore, that my eyes are AI generated. That is not. It's not okay. Now, if you've never watched this before, if you are listening, if you're on Spotify, you're on Apple Podcasts, switch on over to YouTube. You'll find the links in our bio of all of our social media. Come and watch, because a lot of what we're doing, when I listen in the bath or whatever, yeah, we listen to yourselves. But when I listen in the bath, a lot of what we're doing is very visual. But yeah, come and look. My eyes are real. They're my eyes.
That is a vicious rumour.
And we're ready for you. Ready for the moment?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to post edit. We're gonna have to get some music in here.
Yeah.
Cue Seán's music. And maybe we're taking
This is
our time
some build
here.
up.
But maybe do you know the Jeffree Star? Yay! Do you know that? Yeah, can we have that? You just have to invoice us per request. Okay, everyone, here we go. They're not AI, and you can go and fuck yourselves.
Yay!
Wow. But they could be.
They might as well be. They're so bloody gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my fault if your eyes are wonky. Actually, do you know, watching back, mine are if I'm tired.
Oh, same.
Yeah. Last week we put it up with the description that we were slightly hungover.
We were not slightly hungover. We were dying.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Like, just like kind of party after party. It sounds like we've got this very exciting life, but it was the wedding. And then it was mints, and there was another few things.
It was
that
your
we had on.
birthday.
It was going to events. This is real first world problems, but it's going to events and people just give you wine, and mostly you drive.
I'm driving,
as
so
well.
I don't have to have the wine. Yeah. I know it's just
terrible.
hard. It's tough
terrible.
life.
But I can't really. All the years of spending in a rave just drinking bottles of water, I am actually not very good at drinking. My liver
Yeah.
can't really take it.
Well, also because you are celiac and the sugar and all the rest of it gets to you.
I am. I don't know if anyone out there knows this, but I'm actually celiac, which means that I'm allergic to gluten and all sorts of things.
It's a very serious condition.
I don't really talk about it very much.
No.
But no, it means as well that because my liver can't really do the wine or can't really do the whatever insert cocktail or whatever. I can't really handle it. But that's number one. But two, I don't really like the taste of it.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, do you want a red wine or do you want to just any of that? Like people are like, I love champagne. I hate it. I think it's rotten.
I like it.
I
don't like all of it, but I like it.
I love Pepsi Max. See me, you know?
Yeah.
Like I love a wee fruit chip.
Our trash cocktails that we love so much, which is vodka, the cheapest one. Not the cheapest one up from the cheapest, you know, because we're not like... we do love our bodies
We're
a
not
little
bougie.
bit. Yeah, but one up from the cheapest vodka with 29p diet lemonade out of Tesco's, 29p for 2 litres, bargain.
Sometimes 60p if we can't get the cheap stuff.
Sometimes the 29p
then we
stuff goes-
then we actually feel really fancy.
Yeah.
We'll like show off our baskets as we're walking around.
Yeah, but no, the 29p lemonade with a wee dash of dilutable, either blackcurrant or orange and pineapple or something. Oh, that is a cocktail to end all
What's that
cocktails.
cocktail called?
Trash cocktail.
Yeah,
Sometimes-
we don't really have a name for it.
Yeah.
A trash tail. No, but we want to keep the cock, so a trashy cock.
Well, it is now.
Yeah.
But we'll be having a party in our shop on Sunday. Although I will be being the grown-up in the room because it's going to be our 6th birthday of
Happy
another world,
birthday.
which is mad. Like this time last year, we were having a party in the shop and we just had the one show surprise, which was mad.
So basically, we did another thing we don't go on about very much is we did the one show years ago or a year ago, but it was filmed on the same day that was our birthday party.
Yeah.
Seán is like audibly yawning.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Could somebody get that man a coffee?
Somebody get me some
Can
trashy
someone get
cock.
us?
Yeah.
Can someone get us a fucking producer that gives a fuck? Like,
Seán gives a fuck. We're only joking.
we
So much.
I think we do make our love for Seán known.
Yeah.
And actually,
To a point that he's really scundered all the time, and I'm kind of loving it.
we are though. We're very grateful because we've been trying to do this for years, and it's
It's a game changer for us.
quality that we're really hoping for, and the feedback on it it's been just that people that really know what they're talking about. People like Brian fucking Kennedy. Loves your work.
Yeah.
So there we go. Big Brian. I don't know what we're talking about.
One
there.
show.
The one show. So this time last year, so it's our 6th birthday coming up. It is, if you're listening on the day this comes out, which is Friday, it's going to be this Sunday.
Yeah.
We're going to be having a party in the shop. When we have parties in the shop, we call them bar games rather than bar games. And we play great music and we have drinks and you get discounts and we generally get completely trashed. And the police kind of have to repeatedly drive past the store just to make sure that we're not actually throwing a rave. It's what we want. But this time last year when we were throwing our 5th birthday, we had sort of secretly, because you're not allowed to say until it's released, so we did the one show and they that day, and then we went straight into the party. So the one show was a surprise. I think it's a very questionable form of content.
I'm really glad that you've just said that because I think it's time. Like there's something we talked last week about radical candor and how honesty and speaking the truth is something that's really important to us as humans with integrity and also as part of recovery. And there's loads of reasons why being honest at all times is like kind of important, like really important. And what they did to the idea of the one show, the one big thank you, and it's comes from a lovely place, but they prank you essentially, and they prank you by getting all of the people that work with you that are close to you in on the joke, and then it's like, haha, surprise, it's a joke. And the
Well,
very
it's
nature of
surprise
that
thank you,
is
which is even more
yeah,
awkward.
because so for us, as we said another week, is one of the things that deeply scunders us is people saying thank you and like telling us that we're brilliant and all the rest of it, like, which is always comes from a lovely place and we're always grateful, but it also like kind of cringes the bejesus out of us, which is one of very few things that can. But like, so the whole setup of it is that it's like everybody's talking and organising things, and there's WhatsApp groups getting set up to do things, and also it means that, especially for people like us, we are the engines, we are the people who control the brand and how things work and all the rest of it. And for us not to have any part to play in that felt like we then didn't get to make the most of the opportunity that was there, because we're the ones that know our own history, and for most of what we did, it was just the two of us. Do you know what I mean? So it's only really been since we've had our West Belfast site and the one that we have now in Wine Tavern Street that we've really had that sort of consistent volunteer crew and people around us that could have done that.
And now employees.
I know. Welcome, Beth. We got our first employee started last week, and she's been amazing.
She's been great.
Yeah, and our volunteers are freaking phenomenal at the same time. But just on that one show thing, like, it was gorgeous. You know, Sonia came and surprised us, which was lovely. You know, as being a child of the 80s, like, you know, I remember having the Sonia single whenever I me loving you. That one. Yeah, I'm going to stop there. But so the whole setup of it was lovely. The team were lovely. The crew were lovely. It went really, really well, and all the rest of it.
Everyone on our side tried their best.
Yes, they tried their best,
Yeah.
and all, as I say, all of the intentions were good. But just the sort of the secretive nature of it, like, kind of left us feeling a wee bit kind of, I don't know, like scared or cold or duped. Yeah, so there was definitely an uncomfortableness with it. And just one more sort of frustration that it came out in January. People loved it. We were very, very grateful for the reception and how it was. We trusted the BBC to put it out well, and they did. They did a great job of it. However, there was a little piece of well-intended, but it was homophobia. Like, when they described that the reason they chose Sonia as the celebrity to come and surprise us was that she was, you know, part of Eurovision. That it was because we love a bit of Eurovision. We're big Eurovision fans. It's like, we are gays, but I've literally never, maybe I've seen it once. Do you remember there was that time whenever Ireland kept winning it and they almost were kind of trying to throw it because they'd hosted it enough, like maybe about 15, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Like the Father Ted episode.
Yeah, yes. I watched it then, probably as a child, like early teenager, because I remember watching it maybe in Donegal or something like that. But I've literally never seen it since. Never seen it since. Never been to a Eurovision party. Love the idea of it, but don't really care. You know, it's not a thing. But that assumption was made that because we were queers, then that was the link that they used, which is well intended, but still casual homophobia.
When we watched it, that sort of formed our first pause, because we watched it live. We're used to creating our own content. Even this is a bit of experience for us, because you have a lot more control in terms of edit than anyone has ever had, bar the BBC. And for us, we're used to making our own content, to doing all the work, from producing it to putting it out there. And with the BBC, it was a strange thing where we had to then just trust that they would tell we talked about this last week, what can sometimes be quite a complex kind of beast in another world, and what we're doing here at Show Some Love, that they can tell that story and make it kind of make sense, and also that they don't. And we were really just like, please God, like, we know you play your sad music, but can we have no sad music?
We don't want this to be worthy.
In fairness, their reply to that was, it's going to be really hard to put sad music over you. It's like, I was wearing a skirt, we were dancing away. Actually, when Sonia came in, I had my hair up in rollers.
You'd have done.
I had my hair half up in pins for the party that we had that night. I was halfway through doing one of our other volunteers' hers, where we're all kind of just having a moment and celebrating what was our birthday. But yes, so in the end, it came out, and everyone from all the wee grannies come into our shop to our families and our friends and everyone else. Everyone was buzzing for it.
Yeah.
It's been a journey for us, but we are buzzing for it. It's now pinned on our Instagram page. You can go and look at it, maybe on TikTok.
Yeah.
If not, we'll post it on TikTok. But
It's on YouTube as well.
It's on YouTube as
Yeah.
well. So go and look. We're talking about YouTube quite a bit here, but go, if you're listening, get on, have a nosy. We're really proud of what we're doing here. I think the visuals are wonderful today. Today Becky is dressed like
As you.
as me. It's wearing one of my
Connor's top.
favourite things, one of my favourite tops, and I am dressed as sort of just that problem child. You know, I'm the one that started smoking weed when they were like 15. You know.
It's
That's
fair enough, you did. I'd say, yeah. But what was I going to say? Well, this week we have got some letters. We've got our Queers Around the Corner letters. We also got another really lovely letter that I want to read out that wasn't quite a Queers Around the Corner one, but it was just sort of something that somebody spontaneously sent, which I think would be quite nice to read.
It's sort of a part of the feedback that we've been
Yeah.
getting. Now, do you know that if you send anything in, we're not going to just then automatically read it out in the podcast. We did ask for that person's permission.
Yeah.
And we've decided with Queers Around the Corner, rather than I don't know, maybe
Land anybody in it.
landing someone in it, or making someone who writes in fearful that we're going to expose them in some way, or maybe, I don't know, in a year's or 2 years' time they get a new job and it doesn't suit their image anymore, what they want to put out there, rather than it having to be taken down or getting into any sort of difficulty or embarrassment, we've decided to keep everyone anonymous, or we'll give them some random name.
Yeah.
We've given some of them some random titles.
Yeah.
So the way that it's working this week is Becky has gathered all of those letters this week, and I have never heard them. You've never heard them either. And then as of last night, Becky sat pardon me, but Becky has sat and made up lovely titles. I've heard a couple of the titles and they're weird. So thank you to everyone that has engaged with that so far. If you want to feature on Queers Around the Corner, we would love you to. We would love you to send your letters in. You can do that to becky@anotherworldbelfast.com. You can do that to our DM on Instagram. You can do it through TikTok. Wherever you can find us, you can send us a little letter. Make it spicy, make it sexy, make it queer,
make it serious if you want. You know,
make it serious if you want. We'll probably throw it out.
No, we will.
We'll burn it.
Yeah. No, we won't. We won't.
No, if you do have a serious problem, because some of the ones that I had actually gathered, they're a little bit shorter and they're much lighter. The things that I'm sort of attracted to are that. But actually, one or two of them Becky had read and said they just weren't quite.
There's a nice range of some that are very spicy and some that are slightly more gentle. Yes.
But do you know that you can send them in? They'll be anonymous. We'll give you a weird name or we'll give you a title.
Can every name just be Claire from Donegal?
Yes.
Well, yes. Although I think you're going to like these names, Seán. Well, I say that. You might not. You might think they're...
So you've already made up names for the people?
No, there's no names. There's no people.
Oh, the titles.
But you'll see what I mean whenever I read it out.
So if you want to do that, get engaged. Another way as well that you can support us and sort of get involved with the podcast is share it, visit on social, do the thing.
Make sure and subscribe for the love of God.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell, yes. Tell your friends.
But there's lots of ways to kind of to interact with us. So do that. Come and say hello and get on it. Well, we'll start off with the Queers Around the Corner. Are we ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you want me to read or do you want to read?
Oh, I'll read them.
Okay. Grand. I think I was attracted to the shorter ones. I actually have like a little reader, you know, like the little accessibility kind of reader on my phone. Only that sometimes I've never officially struggled with that. I don't have dyslexia or anything like that. I don't think. But I am the slowest reader, and actually, there's something about public reading.
But I think it's also an attention span thing.
Chokes me, you know. So, anyways, Becky's going to be doing the reading, and we're going to be doing the reacting.
Excuse me. Okay.
This is back on.
Well, this is not. We're not going to be hopefully reading anybody.
Okay. Oh, we're not reading. Oh,
Yeah.
It's another sort of reading.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah, the library is not open just yet.
It might be.
It might be. You never know.
And what do we do? What do we do if we really just don't want to do it? What if we want to just throw it out? Do I have a burn button?
Do you know what? We tried to get a shade button, actually, and it was £9 on World of Wonder, but the delivery was going to be £22. So I thought, no, we'll just have to make a fake button, and then our lovely Seán can edit in the shade noise or something in afterwards.
If we ever get that Manscaped sponsorship, maybe we could get ourselves some international.
We get a shave button.
Gorgeous.
The lawnmower challenge.
Well, we should just get a shredder. just back there.
Yes.
And it's just,
I love it.
literally
Yeah.
print them out. And
Yeah.
Just a good luck with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so first up.
Okay. So, are you ready? Okay, so, dear queers, I don't know what to do. Me and my friends were playing a game where we swapped phones and were allowed to text anyone on the other's phone whatever we wanted.
when did Michael McIntyre start sending in questions as well?
Danger,
Is that
danger.
one of his bits?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh.
Well, my friend who swapped phones with me texted my boyfriend telling him I wanted him to piss on me.
Oh.
He replied, sorry, I have to say this. Just before we started recording, we were laughing about this phrase, and I knew that this phrase was in here.
What's
but
the phrase?
He replied, "Get to fuck." I had to immediately admit it was a joke and write it off. However, this is something I really want, and I had to pretend I wasn't interested. How do I bring it up again and admit that it wasn't a joke and I really am into water sports? Pissed off in Portavogie. Thought you'd like that. So I added the end bit in,
Yes.
obviously.
In Portavogie as well. It's beside Donegal. So that must be Claire from Donegal's friend. It's a wee friend.
Yes.
So let me get it straight. So are they straight?
Doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't say.
I mean, water sports, I suppose, can be ubiquitous. Like, anybody can be into them, but it does tend
does
to
change
sort of
it?
sit within the... It does, yeah, it does. It tends to sit more with fetish and all the rest of it. Sort of tends to be more associated with the queer world, but...
Yeah, I think the only reason why I ask that is because there's a certain power imbalance that comes in a traditionally heteronormative relationship because of the patriarchy and everything else that we have to experience here on planet Earth in 2023. But okay, so we don't know. But so number one, do people? Is that Seán is yawning again?
I'm sorry.
Seán is also scundered at the yawn, so we'll not bring it up again. Although I think we could do the Seán yawn counter now.
Yes. Well, that's two.
Two, we'll just do like a real visual counter.
Okay, so
Do you know the only thing that I can say is that I know where this, I knew the account that this came from. So I do think that this is possibly a heteronormative relationship
Okay.
because it
So this is a
seems
girl?
like yeah.
Okay.
And they're talking about a boyfriend.
okay, so she wanted to. So number one is you say this is a Michael McIntyre. Is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
comedian.
I literally know nothing about comedy. So he's an English comedian or like a
Yes.
Yeah.
Great, and that's one of his bits. Is this a thing? Do people do like?
Is it the phone swapping thing that's the,
The
bit?
phone
gays?
swapping?
Yeah, it's not the other bit.
No, not
yeah.
the pissing on bit. I understand that, but is this something? Because I imagine like in the queer world, we're sniffing poppers and we're doing E's and we're shoving bits up each other's bums and all the rest of it. It's all very fun. Lots of glitter, and at
But-
least this stereotypical queer world.
But importantly, everybody's the same gender expression, at least. So therefore, the power imbalance thing isn't a factor.
No. I'm not talking about the pissing. I'm just talking about the absolutely boring game of swapping a phone. And like, come on, like, have you ever tried? I don't know anything else but that.
Yeah. This is a classic case of, I'm so scundered, my mate texts that.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
But
she
not really.
actually texted.
But let's actually answer the question for the person knowing
Okay.
that this was actually sent
Okay.
in.
Okay.
So we're completely sex positive. We're not judging anything, and all of this
like
is
zero
yeah.
wrong with the request.
But even with the phone swapping bit, so I would say so the question is, how do I bring it up again and admit that it wasn't a joke and I really am into water sports? Well, I think just fucking talk about it. Like, isn't that kind of just obvious? Whether they're into it or not is like their choice. I mean, suggest trying it. Have the conversation.
One thing that we did talk about is that what we sort of one of the kind of rules, again, talk about it. One of the rules that we kind of formulated last night when we were talking about this is that we're not going to talk about our experience as a couple because that we're going to get into weird territory.
Turn the life out of people.
Well, let alone for the audience, for Seán, as the only other person sitting in this room, and we're talking about double-ended dildos. We don't want to go there. But in sort of, I don't know, in past experience, I think with guys, I've only ever been with men. I think generally queer people are a little bit more open to having that conversation. But anyone that does want to shut that down, anyone that's not willing to have the conversation, I think that's a wee bit of a
red flag.
A bit of a red flag. That's how to sort of enter that conversation. To say, actually, that's really worrying for me, and it may not necessarily be around the kind of water sports thing, but just in the fact that you're saying no, absolutely not, and there's like shame attached to that. I'm not okay with that. In fact, it may not be about you pissing on me, but it may just be about me feeling confident doing anything else with you. Do you know, is it like if I don't know, because you got it, like, where's the line then? If they're saying that's a no, then where's your limit? We should really already know that if we're in a relationship.
I think that is definitely a thing that queer world gets a lot better than straight world, which is consent. And like, you know, vehement consent, it's like that thing that if it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, we're starting to get a wee bit better about that. But I think that particularly in heteronormative relationships, like there is like kind of a reluctance from a female perspective to kind of not be the person who shuts things down, because there's that whole like narrative around being like frigid or not putting out or anything like that, or like, does this mean you don't love me, or does this mean you don't find me attractive? And the thing that ruins all of that is the people's inability to speak, and also that power imbalance, because then the counter to that for a woman is also, if you are empowered to speak about it and you can say what you like and you don't like, then you're a slut. Do you know what I mean? There's no like in between.
Yeah. Like, no, very, like, that's so true. Like, because you would hear a lot of, like, straight men talking about experiences they've had. Mm-hmm. And it's always, like, you wouldn't hear a lot of, like, women saying, oh, like, this thing that this guy was into.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, but it's like, oh, here you want a scene like this time I had, like, with this girl, and she was into this and that.
Yeah.
And that, you know, so it's like, oh, it's so freaky, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is so, and same for you two, you're not, to be clear for Seán too, you're not speaking about your current relationships, and you're not speaking about your friends, you're speaking about general sort of experience, but like, what is that? Is that bumming? Is that like, oh, they take it at the bum? Or like, what's spicy for straight boys? Like,
I've heard things that, like, you know, maybe cat play. And
oh yeah,
what's cat play?
No, like, you know, collars and
like fetish sort of stuff.
Cat play is the straight version of puppy play.
Oh,
That's
it must be.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, it's a learning moment.
Do they call it pussy play?
For a second, also, I thought you said like cat play. I thought it was like chemsex thing as well. I was like, oh, that sounds messy.
I say it for that.
I've heard like stories like that, you know, and like that being a big deal, you know, whereas like you wouldn't get the reciprocal of that, you know.
As a woman, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, I think that's kind of just the ongoing narrative. If we think about things like, you know, characters in, you know, fiction, like Samantha in Sex and the City, and kind of the rest of the cast too, they were, you know, women my age, maybe 5 to 10, I'm 43, 5 to 10 years younger than me, and maybe 5 to 10 years older, kind of, I think, have a different perspective, having grown up watching programs like Sex and the City. But that character was always characterised as, you know, sort of the femme fatale thing, and in a much more empowered way, but also still bit of a slut. You know what I mean?
It's the man eater of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to clarify as well, and I know that we can't spend the whole podcast speaking about this one person from where Donegal.
Pissed off in Portavogie.
Pissed off Portavogie. Did she want to piss on him?
I think so.
Because that
No. I wanted him to piss on me.
I don't think that's a hard. I just don't think that's a hard request. I think the request to piss on. Sorry, wait. Let me clarify. She's telling him that she wanted him to piss on her.
Yes.
That's just get in the fucking bath, babe.
Yeah, I know, but like, I don't think that's the question. I think the dilemma here is the fact that he said get the fuck.
But the get the fuck would possibly be a little bit more understandable if it's I want to put my piss on you.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yes,
do you know?
I understand that. So I'm saying that it's actually even more unreasonable.
Yeah,
it's just anyway. It's part of conversation.
I think the troubling thing here is not like the partner not wanting to do, it's the fact that it's shut down, and
Yeah.
it's the fact that it can't be spoken about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Is the troubling thing there? Is that like the relationship should have more dialogue?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so the fact that this person feels like they can't bring it up
Yeah.
is the
It's,
worrying
and
thing.
then it comes back to that thing of like, what can you not bring up? Like you were talking about this, and we can cut this if you need to, but you were talking about this the other day about how it's much more it's much more prevalent in the queer community to say. In fact, it's almost like a bit of a cliche or a bit of a meme to say, "What are you into?" Because we
Yes.
have to clarify as two men or two women or whoever else that. How's this going to work? You know, are we two tops? Are we two bottoms?
Yeah.
Where's your limits? Are you into this thing? Like, do you want to? Is chemsex your thing?
Yeah.
Or do you need to wear a condom? If not, then are you on PrEP? There's a whole series of questions that we just like really quite casually have in bars because I don't want to waste my time. If I'm looking the ride, I want to know that this is going to go somewhere. We can. Boys often say this thing where they're like, I don't want to like play with swords or whatever that
Yeah.
sort of thing is.
Yeah.
I'm good with that actually, Grant. I can do that. But often if you need that and you're out in the Kremlin on a Saturday night or you're on Grindr and you want that full sexual experience, then you gotta
You
have
gotta
that
cut to the
conversation.
chase.
But for straight people, maybe that's
It's also
not so much the thing. It's
we've
more
ob-
suggestive.
But we've observed this before. It's like queer culture grew up sort of by itself. It grew out without the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
It grew up without organised religion. It grew up without heteronormativity and the expectation of marriage and the expectation of relationship without shame. Well, sort of the whole community was under shame. But then once you take that a layer down with people to
Yes.
each other, now you still have to deal with internalised homophobia and things like that too. And there's that whole like the narrative of like which obviously is attached to topping and bottoming, like which one of you is the woman?
My reply to that is, do you want to know who takes it up the hole?
Yeah.
Or, like, is that what you're asking? Because we both do that. Like, do you have any further questions?
Yeah.
You know.
But I do think that is really, whenever you get underneath the question or the skin of this question, it's the problem that it's addressing is that if this is I imagine this is like a couple that are heteronormative in their, how their bodies are. Maybe they're queer, maybe they're not. But the fact that this is a shut down conversation, I think that the answer is the conversations can't be shut down. And if they are shut down, red flag, move on.
Maybe tell them to piss off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next.
You ready for another letter then?
I think we're ready for another letter.
Okay. So, dear queers, my friend is an extreme snorer. We've been on trips together and they've snored to the extent I've had to sleep outside on the terrace. Think death rattle combined with a hippopotamus who has... I love spending time with this person, but can't be asked with their snoring.
Okay.
Do I tell them or do we stop going away on trips together? And that's from Sleepy in Strabane.
Oh, sleepy in Strabane. I really don't care. I'm sorry. It's just nothing.
I think there's a running theme here because I think the answer is, and it comes back to that like being honest thing. It's just like, just fucking say, even if you have to make a joke out of it, just be like, holy shit, you're a noisy bastard, or throw a pillow at them in the middle of the night.
How are you meant to I think learn to love it? Like, how are you can't change that. You can't like physically change your snoring.
Yeah.
You might have
Wear
some
earplugs.
Wear earplugs. Get those fancy ones that keep on trying to sell me. You know, the
loop ones.
The loop ones, sort of like the inner ear kind of thing, like a noise cancelling thing.
They're very dear.
Are they very dear?
They're not very dear, but considering how you're going to lose one within 3 days.
Tell me what very dear is.
No, they're like
30
£30, or you can get, or they're or maybe more if you want the ones that you can alter, which you would want.
Go and fuck
Priceless
yourself.
for a good night's sleep.
Well, it's I know, but you're sponsored by them, so we wouldn't trust anything you say. I think there's other solutions. I think it is important to bring it up. So much of this, I just know is going to come down to honesty.
Yeah.
Of just saying it out loud. If they're your friend and you're going away on trips, so if you're sort of able to be away with someone in a vulnerable space where you're sleeping yourself, you should be close enough to be able to say, God, you really snore, but here, don't be worrying, I got
earplugs
or whatever it is, because they maybe don't even know they do it. I know I really snore. I grew up in a house that was full of people snoring, and I mean like really snoring. And I have learned to actually really love it. You don't really snore, but you do have like a wee sort of sleep kind of to you, and I love it. There's if you fall asleep first, there's something so relaxing to me about that kind of
like snuffly noises.
I know the hippopotamus level snore is a different thing.
But then I suppose it's different whenever you're in the same bed together, because if you're like snoring loads and I'm like, it's very rare that it happens. Like normally we go to sleep together, but
few too many wines.
Yeah, it's you have alcohol. I suppose if you're on holiday, you're going to have probably had alcohol as well. But like generally, I'll just sort of give you a wee nudge or just say to you while you're sleeping, like, would you roll over onto your back or your side or alternate? And then by that stage, you do that, you get enough of a break from it, you go to sleep. But I do think the answer is have a conversation, because if they're really your friend, they're not going to be offended. Like they're not doing it on purpose to piss you off, you know.
When when it happens with Nicole, again, not that often, but like I find it's like something to do with like her breathing, you know, like she's not like getting enough air or something, or she's in a weird angle, so I'll just like grab her shoulder or something, like turn her a wee bit, and then it, like goes away, and then like and if it is, as you say, really annoying, you're just like, Nicole, you're snoring.
Yeah.
But rarely ever happens.
Yeah.
It's hello Nicole, how's it going? We heard that lovely song.
I know, what a
Search
sweetheart.
Party about you.
Yes, everybody should search search party. Yeah.
I know she's been out. I know we're like not speaking. I think it's different to say that we're not speaking about our partners and our current experience when you're talking about sex, because it's sort of, you get into a strange space.
Yeah.
But when it comes to snoring, that's just the way that it is. I know that I probably do snore quite a bit, but it doesn't. I was going to say it doesn't annoy me.
Honestly, it doesn't annoy me either. Like, I mean, as I say, it's just like a wee nudge and it's generally sorted. But usually going to sleep at the same time is helpful.
Yeah, Sleepy and Strabane. Just get over it. Be honest. Be honest. Try.
You realise that you just say like, I don't care. Nobody's going to send any more letters in.
Try to not. Just try to get over it. Give over, yeah. Sort of like this is
get the fuck.
It's like therapy with your dad. You know, have you ever tried not being depressed?
Yeah.
Because you could give that a go.
It's probably just your fault. You just need to lighten up, you know.
Yeah, so try lightening up. That's good. I think though. No, for all that we do, we obviously, this isn't jest. We don't want to upset anyone.
Yeah.
And people have given us their trust to give the letter in, but no, I know if I had sent the letter in and I got that level of honesty, I would think it was funny. So
yeah.
do know that it is not. We're not going to cancel you for being deeply unreasonable, because you are. Okay, so next up we have another letter that Becky's reading.
Yes.
Have you really read through? I suppose you've.
I mean, I've glanced, and then obviously because I had to put the wee name on the end, so I had to pick one that was appropriate.
So you need the story. So next up,
yeah, but I haven't like in my head thought of what a solution would be. So this one is from Melted in Mahara.
Oh.
Okay, so dear queers, I'm so left, I'm falling off a cliff. However, my mother is a right-wing troll online who believes that vaccines turn you magnetic.
Oh, God.
I really struggle with trying to reconcile my familial love for this person against my beliefs. I can't cut this person out of my life because I have very little family and not many friends.
Fair enough.
How can I put up with their horrible beliefs and also deal with me thinking my friends are secretly judging me?
This is like so a story of our time, I think.
Yeah.
Know that your friends aren't.
Yeah.
And if they are, that's their problem. Their judgment is not your problem, especially when it's not you that has created the issue.
Yeah.
You can't be responsible for somebody else.
Yeah.
And yes, you're part of the same family and you represent the same sort of idea and the same community or the same maybe brand, but you're not her, you know, and you are a developed person, hopefully, that's came many years after her and her experience. So know that that's when she sort of formed her experience and maybe actually gathered some of the fear that she has about the world that then results in this type of belief or behaviour. Yeah,
like at the end of the day, those beliefs are like cray-cray. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the whole thing about like the vaccine was a very controversial topic and still is a controversial topic.
Is it the vaccine though? Is it the COVID vaccine?
Vaccines in general. Oh. Like, but the most recent one
is it like there's been a trend obviously recently.
Yeah, it's
and like that from the COVID vaccine that now vaccines are the enemy now.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it takes people who are already quite vulnerable and to hold beliefs like that and this sort of like magical thinking and, you know, does sort of tend to speak to the fact that they are maybe a vulnerable person in the first place. However, I get that they say I can't cut this person out of my life because I have very little family and not many friends. But maybe
I get that though. They're in Maghera, you know. Are they in Maghera?
No, I just made that up. No, but at the same time, like, I I think there's a really like scary sort of phenomenon that happens where people feel like a sense of obligation to care for somebody who is like maybe not in full capacity of their mental health and well-being and all the rest of it. But at the same time, there has to come a point where if that is causing your own life to be really massively negatively impacted, then, you know, you've got to, if not cut off, you've got to reduce the amount of time that you spend because you do have to still protect your own peace and protect your own mental health and all the rest of it. And, you know, sometimes self-preservation has to be key. So I would say that massive boundaries are the answer there, and spending less time with them, or making that time much more kind of matter of fact, and not letting it leak into you, or not letting it get to you too much, which I suppose is a bit of a flippant.
I spoke about this on like another podcast like recently, where it says that like in the last lot of years, older people have become a lot more vulnerable to false information.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because like for the majority of their lives, the news and the information that they were fed was provided by, depending on what you believe in terms of like mainstream media, like newspapers, TV, radio, whatever, like came from a reputable or semi-reputable journalistic
There's integrity to it.
Yeah, so it was something they could trust. So all the media they were receiving, whether it had an agenda or whatever behind it, it still had some sort of truth to it or trust. And there was like a series where, so if you subscribe to the same newspaper, if you watch the same TV show, you knew that like you had trust in this organization. So the media, the information you were being fed, you could trust it. So now they're in this new world of scrolling down Facebook. And they are seeing articles, and they just assume that this is something that there's no filter there between like a BBC article looks the same as some random.
Well, they're made like that as well. And then if you don't know how it works, if you don't know how a post is generated or how you make a link to a website, you don't know that there isn't some governing body like there is with the mainstream media, with the 5 channels and the couple of networks, the sort of Fleet Street papers as they were. There were governing bodies for that. Now it doesn't exist. And there's a lot out there that even what would appear to be a BBC article may not be. It could be bbc.co. That's probably owned by the BBC, but it could be that type of a thing,
and that could be none the wiser.
That could be created by some Russian bloody bot, and it's kind of impossible to.
But we're in a different time now. Like media is now. I know that there's not advertising on the BBC. However, there's other sort of forces at play there, obviously. But now there is so much of both the traditional media channels and the newer media channels that are led by advertising, and they're interested in putting out titles and articles that will generate clicks and that will therefore then generate greater channels of advertising to come from the adverts that are placed within those articles. So now even the traditional media you can trust far less because there's less integrity attached to it, you know.
Even the thing now is like the headline might be completely misleading as to what is even in the facts that are being stated in the article. So like even if it could say something and they'll take that headline at face value and then spread it about when they're on the building site or when they're in the shops or when, you know, so that's the thing that spreads is the headline.
Totally. Like I saw an example of that recently. Excuse me. And it was in the Belfast Telegraph. It was actually talking about Michael Dean closing a piece or a peak. I'm not sure how he describes that restaurant. But the headline was Michael Dean to close, you know, fine dining restaurant in Belfast. And what people do is they just read the headline and then they comment. And actually, if you clicked into the article to read it, he wasn't closing the site. He was just going to close off a portion of it in order to concentrate more effort into the Love Fish and the Meat Locker. But, you know, more of the other sort of, not exactly casual dining, but the different offerings that were on site. So it wasn't that he was closing it, but all of a sudden you see all of these commiserations. Isn't that tough times? You know, even somebody like Michael Dean's having to close and all the rest of it. But that was the wrong message. And because Belfast Telegraph chose that that headline, that may now mean that people don't book for the other restaurants that he has on the site that he's trying to channel, the business towards, because people are thinking that, well, that's all closed now. Even Michael Dean's restaurants have closed.
Totally.
And it's just like, it's so short-sighted, because then what about whenever he wants to advertise in future? He's not going to choose the Telegraph or the Telegraph magazine to advertise in, because they've just screwed him with choosing a clickbaity title that they know they're going to get lots of people commenting on. Do you know, it's really short-sighted type of journalism. But I suppose the reason we were talking about that was because of how people consume media and how people are susceptible to shit that they read online now. But in terms of this, of melted in Mahara, I would say that the answer is create those boundaries, protect your peace.
But do let your mummy know. It's your mummy. It's the mummy. So do let your mummy know the facts. Try to put that across in a reasonable way. Do let them know why you're choosing to distance yourself. Do let them know how you are hurt by that. Because bigger picture, you being magnetic, I don't think is such a major issue. I don't know why that would be such
Just
a problem.
prove it. Just get a magnet. It's not going to stick.
Yes.
Do you know?
Oh, yeah. So you can't, but then a lot of the time
your 4G signal's terrible.
But then talking of 4Gs, the 5Gs and the fact that caused all sorts of stuff, including viruses and everything else, that sometimes you can't meet misinformation with facts.
Yeah.
But if you're going to distance yourself, make sure that your integrity is in place. Make sure that you let your mum and let your family know why you've chosen to do that. Know that if you exit that space, you should do that with the power that you have, and know that you, when you do exit and you do sort of make distance, that you've tried your best, so that you don't then sit in the house and think, oh, is there something else I could have did, or is there another way I could have acted?
Once your integrity's in place and you've tried your best, then you can detach with power.
But the magnetic, well, number one, it's I just don't know. Is it true?
The thing is, like I read recently about the people getting their nails done, with the UV light, that now they're able to attach. I mean, that to people, increased risk of cancer, which kind of does make sense.
Everything is carcinogenic.
I think everything is. Even holding a phone, having a phone in your pocket's apparently meant to reduce your sperm count.
Yeah. I seen a thing the other day. It was very casual. It was like on some news site or some news cast. It was like a rolling news thing, and they were like, "Well, as it goes, if you have men that hold phones for a couple of times a day are 30%. I'm making this up, but are like 30% less, or have a 30% reduction in their sperm count." And the next story, Dolly the sheep, and it was like
very casual.
That is potentially going to end civilization, and we're just like. Imagine that happens next.
But we're so like lambasted with like constant statistics, constant clickbait, constant fear mongering, and a lot of that is also like a major distraction from like the really genuinely bad shit that is going. No, it's unavoidable right now, and you shouldn't avoid it. Like the world is genuinely going to hell in a handbasket. Like, but
this is the Wee Mary podcast.
Yes,
where Mary's put the world to rights.
Yes,
it is.
Yes.
Hello, boys and girls.
But
this week's episode sponsored by Manscaped.
That was the one sponsored by Nanscaped, where you just it also does a chin whisker.
We don't want to know. Nanscaped is not where we want to be right now.
Right, well then let's go on to the next letter.
For your granny's family.
This will be our final letter, and this one's a wee bit more of a spicy one, so steel yourself. And this one is definitely, none of it, we haven't been really safe for work, but
consider
this
yourself
one's definitely
stolen.
not.
This one is safe for work?
No, definitely not.
Okay,
this is the spiciest.
Are you going to do the title at the end or the title at the start?
Title at the
end. I think end is better.
I disagree, but I've been outvoted. There we
yes.
go. This is what democracy looks like.
So, dear queers, my partner loves anal, but since I am topping, I see everything, and I don't like the mess it leaves on me. I love my girlfriend, and I don't want to stop. What are your top tips for overcoming my poopophobia? I think they meant scatophobia there, but anyway, from Scattered in Scarva.
Wow.
Scarva.
Okay, number one, where is Scarva?
Near Banbridge.
Oh, near Banbridge. Okay.
I like the word up reference there as well. They're throwing in a bit of scatophilia.
Yeah.
Oh, was that a word up reference?
Yeah.
Well,
scat anyway.
We've been repping for weeks.
I know.
Haven't even had a message up, Bruna, you're welcome.
No.
We're sponsored by Brona Diamonds.
We think we'll be able to get Brona on next week.
Oh, we'll get her on.
All being well.
We'll get her on at some point.
She's been away in London. She was away until
she's
just yesterday there.
And
so
stressed.
yeah,
So there we go.
She's very in demand lady.
We'll get Brona. So when it comes to scat what?
Scattered in Scarva.
Scattered in Scarva. So tell me this. They reference topping, but they're in a straight relationship.
Yes.
Funny. They just surely... Okay, maybe there's a pegging situation. That is fine. So he's bumming her.
Yeah.
And she's not dishing.
Yeah,
Well,
basically.
Number one, if you regularly interact with anal sex, that's just... That is just what happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you meet someone that's like a fucking 10 and it's 6 a.m. and they want to take you home to some gorgeous penthouse apartment and I don't know, just be your daddy and you haven't dished or they haven't and you're just going to have to it's really one of the most intimate things you can do is put your cock inside of someone's bumhole. So if it does then come along with what also exists within that space, then we kind of just have to be a little bit less embarrassed about it. If it happens, you should feel safe enough to just go and rinse it, or actually do yourself a favour and if that's a problem, wear a condom. In fact, wear a condom anyways.
Yeah.
You can get condoms that are latex free that you barely feel, that are tight to your bits. Tell the person behind the desk with no shame what size your penis is so that it fucking fits.
Yeah.
And then we won't have the problem. You are not, stop lying to me, you're not allergic to latex. It's just, you're not. And if
Some
you
people are.
Well, I used to have condoms that I used to travel with, and I think the Rainbow Project gave me them years ago, but there are these they were like not early, but they were not the latex free condoms that you can get now. Not those lovely skin ones, but there were these other ones. And it was basically a bag with a fucking cock ring that you put on. It was this horrific thing.
Probably quite noisy as well.
Yeah. It was awful. And actually, you want a condom, but you want... What did you say?
It was like a part of a whimper.
It was
a bread bag.
So I used to be like, oh, you're allergic to latex? No worries. Like I take sexual health quite seriously, so what I want to do is you can put this on. Do you want to put this in your cock? And funny how boys would be like, it only stings a wee bit, because I still want to put it inside. So sure, I'll use the other condom, so do that. If not, have a conversation.
Yeah, the answer is back to have a conversation.
We're having sex. We're putting our body parts into other parts of our partners' bodies.
Yeah.
If you're already doing that, which is quite the thing,
yeah,
then have a fucking conversation about it. There's other I'm sort of a bit of an anal sex expert here.
Yeah.
But there's other ways too. There's use a fucking butt plug. Prepare the space, make it wide enough so that there isn't the same suction and air kind of pull that a penis is literally designed to do. It's literally designed to remove the previous partner's sperm in a situation that isn't quite as civilised as we are here today.
This in RSA,
but it is.
Should, in all seriousness.
And so you can use the butt plug and just make it a wee bit easier to do that. And also you can use, if you don't want to have the conversation about dishing, or it's sort of late at night, or you just get a bit horny and you've had a fucking curry, then which is rotten, but that's just anal sex. That's the way that it is. Then you can use a lot of lube, like an unbelievable amount of lube, and it helps to just create it helps to lubricate it. It helps to push the poo away.
So what's are they both into anal?
Yeah,
So
both of them are into it,
it,
but they just obviously haven't had the douching
So
conversation.
he's bumming her, but she's putting shit all over his dick.
Yeah.
This podcast has got as lowbrow as it gets.
Yeah, it really
But
has.
it's educational.
Yeah, it's educational. It's important. It's stuff like the kids need to know.
Or she's putting feces all over his peni.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like everything's a conversation.
It really.
Do you know what I mean?
All these are just very easy. It's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I think that's actually the answer to most of life's problems.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's just like, be honest, have a conversation, and then you'll know where you stand.
And park
you
it
know?
to say, I find this a wee bit awkward to sort of talk about, but if we can just take 10 minutes to do this, it would be really helpful. Also, if you can talk about it, there are apps that you can use to have conversations with your partner.
True.
It's why people find it much easier on like dating apps, for example, to sort of say, what are you into? Because you're not like sitting there in front of someone, you're like, do you like this? But there's also, if you're in a long-term relationship, which this sounds
Yeah.
to be what it is.
Seems to be.
Then you can have a conversation over an app. It's a little bit awkward and it seems a wee bit like unnecessary, but it's necessary because that's happening. Another thing as well, sorry, just in my sort of bum and pro kind of tips here, don't pull out. Just don't. I know you want to do it. I know that happens in porn. I know that we're in and out all the time and we're doing all the things and we're putting it everywhere else. Just don't do that. If you have not prepared in the way that you should have prepared, or sorry, not should have prepared, if you've not prepared in the way that you would like to, so that that didn't happen, if that's a problem for you, then don't pull out. Just don't pull out. Like, it's the pulling out is the problem. So put it in, do your thing. And
wear a condom.
Wear a condom. Because then if you pull out, then it's a situation if you can go half, whop it off, do your bits, you know, maybe, I don't know, get it sucked or come or whatever, or not, then put another one on. It's not like, you know, we're in a cost of living crisis, but you can get them fucking free. And if you can't, they're not exactly very expensive. You know, stop, I don't know, drinking 1 bottle of wine a week and get yourself some luxury condoms from, like I say, Skin or another brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember being very young and like the Brook used to give you like
Yeah, because Common Youth they're called now.
Dolly mixers of
Yeah.
condoms.
Yeah,
And,
they
like,
still do it.
It was great crack being able to like
Lucky
test out all
bag.
the different types.
Yeah.
That is so important that they give you a little bag, because in Rainbow, maybe it's a queer thing as well, that people are just a little bit more open about their bits and all the rest of it in that conversation. But in Rainbow, there's a moment where you're like, oh, can I get some condoms? And they will ask you what size your penis is. They don't want to know the length or anything like that, but they're like, do you want small, medium and large or extra large? And it's really like, it's so in me to be like, well, extra large, you know. But actually, that's not the size that I need.
Yeah.
But it does put you in that position. So to have that mixed bag from you, say the Brook, but it's now called Common Youth, is amazing. And then you can go back and rather than even saying, I want, because they're all different colours, they're coded. So rather than saying, I want the medium ones or the small ones or whatever, you can say, can I just have a bag of those purple ones? Know as well that it's their job. It is literally their
Nobody's
objective
skundered.
to give out condoms, to talk about sex, to educate you in RSC, because our schools, thanks to the DUP and all the other nutters out there, are not doing that. They're not doing an adequate job.
Yeah, well, that's a very current topic, actually, as well. Is that
The Tories currently making it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm actually a Tory voter myself, so I would appreciate you talking about them.
In fairness, I did actually. I have voted Conservative in my life.
Boo!
Yeah. Whenever I lived in England and I was earning loads of money and I didn't know any better and I just used to regurgitate the shite that I was brought up being told, then I remember saying to my ex-husband, because we were kind of like, who do you vote for? And I said, well, you obviously vote Conservative because like the other ones, they're going to take your money off you. And like I've done like obviously a complete 180 degree shift now in terms of my perspective and what I think. And I basically was glad to open my eyes and learn more. And once you know more, you do better.
Yeah, and then you can talk about your experience in the past with honesty, because there's lots of people out there that are in your situation that possibly need to see the light and need to come forward and maybe join our community or join another one. We were watching an episode of The Simpsons last night where they put it really beautifully about how if we only just paid our taxes and we all paid our way fairly and we didn't scrimp and we didn't scam and we didn't avoid tax, then
charity wouldn't need to exist.
But it wouldn't be down to this mixture of sometimes hundreds of charities per sector within the sector that then are often ego-led and then do their own work, which in turn is often duplicated.
It's a very inefficient system that we have.
Deeply inefficient, but it's about when you boil it down, it's about rich people not paying their way and getting away with it. It's about rich people not paying their way, getting away with it, and then turning up to some fucking fundraiser and going, "Oh, can I give you a couple of grand?" It's like, well, maybe you could have paid that whenever we asked you to, you know, whenever the law asked you to, but you've got enough money and access to that.
I like earned lots of money. I also had like about 15 direct debits coming out of my account at the time for all of the different like pay money monthly. But I was not rich by any stretch. I just had a healthy salary.
You were very comfortable. You had a lovely house. You ticked all the boxes that people hope to tick. But we're talking about the kind of next.
No, it's billionaires. No
people.
Billionaires, no homelessness. No billionaires, no poverty. That's it. It's that level that we need to bring back into the centre.
Billionaires exist today because We allow that system to continue. We allow people to avoid tax.
But the key thing is that I was representative as a middle income person. I was representative of people that voted that way because it was an aspirational thing. You want to think about yourself as with those people, not with perceptionally those people. Do you know? And that is what the propaganda has done. It said that, like, you know, if you want to continue and you do the grind and you work hard and all the rest of it, you should be putting yourself into yes, that's my academy
Becky's
again.
Rise and Grind Academy,
which we love.
Six installments of just £449.
But that's the bullshit that they're peddling. Do you know what I mean? It's why we've got, like, we are saddled here with the bullshit that comes with the Tory government. They're in because idiots voted for them, and people voted for them because they drink the Kool-Aid. They buy the bullshit that they're sold that says that if you earn 50 grand a year and you drive an Audi, then you should definitely be voting this way because that's more like you. You know, it's the aspiration thing, rather than people realising that the middle class is largely a fucking illusion.
It doesn't
Do you know
exist
what I mean?
unless you can not work a day. Unless you can spend the rest of your life never working another day and you can survive doing that, you are working class.
Yeah.
Let's stop telling each other that we're working class or we're more working class or that I am actually middle class and you are less than. We are all fucking one here. Yeah. And there's a very small collection of people who we've allowed to be in control and have power that control everything that beat us against each other.
Yeah.
You know, if we could come together, we could really make change happen.
Yeah.
And that actually is very scary.
It's the numbers game that they're trying to divide. It's divide and conquer. You know, it's like actually the largest part, if people would come together, could actually make sustainable change. But people are too busy, like, believing what they're told. Yeah. There's one last letter that I would like to read out, but I've realised that it's on my phone, which is doing the time over there. So,
have we got time for it? Yeah.
It's not we don't need to do a reply. I just want to read it out.
Okay.
I just want, because it's a lovely idea. Thank you so much, Seán.
Our lovely email.
Yeah, I don't want to miss it.
This one isn't a Queers Around the Corner, but it is an email that we got from someone that's been listening to the podcast and following us for really quite some time. It's very, very sweet. Often in our worlds, we have to just hit save in our memories, but also just like physically like screen grab something just to remember these moments, because our work can be very difficult, but moments like this make it much, much better. So
this is a wee bit of a feedback and a lovely idea that came. So I just wanted to read it out because you can just send us letters or messages anyway, and we always love to get them. So it says, "Hello, Becky and Connor. I'm just watching podcast 2. You had me at life coaches or douchebags, to be honest. All that talk of Christmas music and stuff in shops reminded me of what I used to do when I worked in shops and pubs during Christmas. The music would drive me insane. 8 hours on a loop, like some kind of merry my arse jingle bell hell. Almost had a flashback then. Apologies. I love their style of writing. It's so conversational. It makes me so happy. So one year I decided to pick a song, and every time I heard it, I would take £1 from my tip jar and put it in my pocket. A kind of twisted reward saving scheme. At the end of the season, there was often a fair old chunk of money in that pocket, which in those days I would put towards a nice treat. These days, I don't work in pubs and shops, but I still go in them and still choose a song every year. But now the money goes to guys like you. I think I'm going to go for Mariah this year, as she is the queen of Christmas, and I love a diva."
We are going to be fucking rich.
There's a lot of I wondered if you lovely humans could use this little moment of madness as a fundraising idea this year. Absolutely. I thought I would pass it on anyway. Now I'm going back to the podcast, sending you all the very best wishes and love. And I'm not going to say their name because I said I would keep it anonymous. And it says, "P.S. I love wearing my Show Some Love hat in Belfast. It's like being part of a secret society. Sometimes people give me the most awesome grin when they see it, and it's such a great moment of connection." That touched our heart. It actually makes me really emotional. Like, I read it once last night, and they were delighted. I said, "Can we share that?" But I think that's a lovely fundraising idea. It's like taking the thing that does your head in and turning it into something good. So if you want to choose a Christmas song, like, what is that game that they play? I couldn't think of it last night, where it's like Last Christmas. You know, whenever you hear Last Christmas, you've lost. You go through, like, it's a like sort of a meme. there's a name for the game. It's like, you know, whenever they say like Rick Rolling, you know, whenever you hear.
Yes.
But there's a name for that. Somebody can comment and tell us what it is.
So the idea is every time you hear the Christmas song that does your head in.
Yeah, you take £1 out of your purse and put it in another wee bit of your purse.
Very
and then that
sweet.
means that by the end of Christmas coming, you might have like £15
Very
that
sweet.
you've set aside. And then that means that you can donate that to charity.
To be clear as well, before we sign off, we're here for that because it's very, very sweet. But we're here for those types of ideas.
Yeah.
You know, for all that we'll do a big gig and a big partnership like we were speaking last week with whatever multi-million pound project, we are also here for your conversations of you and your class as a wee teacher that's collected 20 quid for you in your work that's doing a round of Secret Santas, and rather than just buying a load of plastic crap, you've decided to give us 30 or 40 pounds. Those types of that type of
Community
action and donation makes a really big difference for a tiny organisation like ours.
It's also the reason why we're sitting doing this podcast. You know, we're not just here for shits and giggles, although we love our shits and giggles, but we also want to be able to drive good conversations. We want to drive awareness for our, you know, inverted commas, real work that we do, which is helping people, you know. So if something that we've said has made you laugh, or something has inspired you to think differently, or thought provoked you, or annoyed you, you know, like, let's have a conversation. Or consider supporting our work and what we do, either at Christmas or ongoing. Donate your clothes, donate some money, whatever that looks like. But we want to glue people together. We want to bring solidarity. We want to do something for this country that is, and the people within it, that is slightly different to, you know, what people expect of us. You know, the narrative around this whole area is that we're about 10 years behind everywhere else, and sadly that's true. You know, so we love the compliments that we get whenever people say, oh, I've been listening over in Liverpool, or I've come home and my mum told me I had to come and see you because this place is like something you'd see in London, or the way that you speak. You know, we've got 17,000 young people leave here every year and to study, and 11,000 of them never come back. You know, both Connor and I have left and weren't going to come back. I did because of Brexit, basically. I didn't want to live where I lived anymore. It worked for my job and things like that. But there's a lot of people that never come back. And the reason they don't come back is because of our news, is because of sometimes the shite opinions that people will put out there, is the fact that we're not necessarily as progressive here as we could be. So we want to provide an alternative voice to that. So hopefully we can do a wee bit of that and make people feel a wee bit better about this place that we call home.
Often when people are very sweet, again, we've talked about the embarrassment of that, but often when people are very sweet, our reply to that is, you should see our community, you should see the people, our volunteers, and the people that come together, the people that make up our packs, the people that are behind the scenes, people who are in those clothing banks, people who are in the shop. They are a wonderful bunch of weirdos and queerdos and exceptional folk that have kind of found each other. Come and find us. You'll be so welcome, no matter who you are.
Don't believe what is the narrative online as well. You know, like, actually the vast majority of people here are really sound, really open to it. You know, it's just the shitty voices that get out there that kind of cast a bad light on the rest of us. But we have confidence that the majority of people here are actually sound as fuck.
I'm ready to sign off with my...
Yeah. The library is open now.
The library is open. Actually, the library is always open for Seán to read us to filth throughout this.
Got a message because we were a tiny wee bit late coming here, and Seán got a message just to let him know that I'm an emo now, and I would rather that he respected that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be an emo next week.
Yeah.
I don't know, but do check back next week. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on Spotify and you can listen on Apple Podcasts and lots of other places. Yeah. And if you're listening, you can watch. Connect with us on social. You can search Show Some Love Belfast on most platforms and find us and get the fuck.
Show some love.
Show some love.
Bye.